On Africa's northern coast, two cities, Ceuta and Melilla, stand as rare European areas, Spanish in law and culture, yet surrounded by Morocco. These cities are not just strange places on a map. They are lively communities, mixing Spanish, Muslim, Jewish and Hindu traditions. Their important location at the Strait of Gibraltar has made them wanted by powerful countries for hundreds of years. Today they are hot spots in how Spain and Morocco get along. Spain sees them as true parts of its country, while Morocco views them as leftovers from a time when bigger countries took over smaller ones. The talk about who owns them is more than just a fight over a border. It's a clash of history, what people believe about themselves, and national pride. To understand them now, we must look at the hundreds of years of taking over, living together, and staying strong that shaped them. Ceuta and Melilla are living proof of how tricky borders and belonging can be in a changing world. This video will follow their journey, the arguments from both sides and what their future might hold. Melilla's Spanish story began in 1497, as Spain, having just finished getting its land back in the Reconquista, wanted to make sure its southern border was safe. Spanish soldiers took Melilla, turning it into a strong fort to protect against pirates and control trade in the Mediterranean Sea. Unlike when European countries took over other places, Melilla was never about going further inland. It was a military base, a place to watch and listen on African land. Over hundreds of years, its identity became one with Spain's, its walls and streets shaped by always being on guard. This long-standing presence is key to Spain's claim. Melilla was Spanish long before Morocco was a modern country. For Spain, Melilla is not an old leftover from a colonial past, but a historic part of its national story. The city's lasting Spanish character is still at the center of the talk about who owns it. Ceuta's journey to Spain began with Portugal, which captured the city in 1415 to control trade and show its power. For over 200 years, Ceuta was Portuguese until Spain and Portugal were united under one king. When Portugal became independent again in 1640, the people of Ceuta chose to stay with Spain, a decision made official in the Treaty of Lisbon. Spain says this was an act of the people choosing for themselves, not a takeover, a special case in the history of colonies. Ceuta's Spanish identity, formed by its residents' choice, is a main reason for Spain's claim today. This makes Ceuta different from typical arguments about colonies, focusing on loyalty rather than taking over land. The city's story is one of changing powerful countries, but also of the lasting will of the local people. Morocco's independence in 1956 brought up the question of Ceuta and Melilla again. Spain insisted the cities were not colonies, but true parts of its land, existing before both the Moroccan country and the time of colonies. Morocco, however, saw them as unfinished business, European areas on African land, and a breaking of its land's wholeness. The disagreement quickly became a diplomatic problem. Spain refused to talk. Morocco pushed its claim at the UN. For Morocco, true independence meant getting these cities back. For Spain, their status was not something to be changed. This deadlock has defined their relationship for decades, with both sides stuck in different histories and legal understandings. The city's fate became a symbol of bigger fights over getting rid of colonies and what it means to be a nation. The issue is still not solved, causing tension and discussion to this day. And at the heart of the disagreement are two stories that cannot both be true. Morocco claims Ceuta and Melilla as remnants of colonies, arguing for the wholeness of its land and pointing to their geographic and cultural ties to Morocco. Spain argues back with history and the right of people to choose for themselves. The cities became Spanish centuries before Morocco existed, and most of their residents say they are Spanish. For Morocco, getting the cities back is a matter of national pride. For Spain, their ownership is protected by law and the will of the people. The daily reality: ties across the border, mixed populations, makes the legal arguments even more complicated. Both sides use international rules, but each explains them in a way that helps their own case. The discussion is less about the past than about identity, democracy, and what borders mean in today's world. For now, the cities remain Spanish, but the question of their future is far from settled. The Ceuta and Melilla disagreement is made even more complicated by Morocco's position on Western Sahara. Morocco asks for the end of colonial rule in the Spanish cities, yet it controls Western Sahara, where it resists a vote on self-rule that is supported by the UN. Critics, including Spain, point out this contradiction. Morocco demands that its land be whole in the north, but it denies this in the south. The fight of the Sahrawi people for independence shows how international laws are used differently by different people. Spain uses this Western Sahara card to push back against Morocco's pressure, arguing that rules must be followed consistently. This diplomatic game of chess makes Morocco's moral standing weaker and makes its claims more difficult. The unsolved conflict in Western Sahara casts a long shadow over the discussion about Ceuta and Melilla. Spain's position is also made complicated by its claim to Gibraltar, a British territory at the tip of the Iberian Peninsula. Like Morocco, Spain talks about its land being whole, arguing Gibraltar is rightfully Spanish. Yet when people in Gibraltar vote overwhelmingly to stay British, Spain downplays the idea of people choosing for themselves, the very idea it supports for Ceuta and Melilla. Britain points out this inconsistency, arguing Spain cannot demand respect for local wishes in Africa while ignoring it in Europe. The Gibraltar problem weakens Spain's moral standing and is similar to the contradictions it criticizes in Morocco. Both disagreements show how history, law, and identity are used differently in claims over land. The result, a diplomatic stalemate with each side defending its own idea of what is fair. The lesson is clear. Fights over land rarely fit neatly into legal or moral rules. Today, Ceuta and Melilla are on the front lines of Europe's migration crisis. Their strong borders are the only land paths from Africa to the EU, making them magnets for desperate migrants looking for a better life. The cities have become places where there are many humanitarian problems, with frequent attempts to get over the fences and growing pressure on local resources. Migration has shifted the focus from who owns the land to safety and working together. Morocco's role in controlling migration gives it power over Spain and the EU, sometimes using border control as a way to get what it wants. This situation forces Spain to balance being firm in diplomacy with working together in practical ways. For residents, the city's isolation is made stronger by the fences, symbols of division, but also of hope and despair. The migration crisis has, for now, overshadowed the debate about who owns the land, making daily problems more urgent than historical arguments. Ceuta and Melilla's future will be shaped as much by migration as by politics. Ceuta and Melilla's story is one of disputed histories and futures that are tied together. Both Spain and Morocco have valid claims, but both are complicated by inconsistencies. Western Sahara for Morocco, Gibraltar for Spain. The city's residents, with their unique mix of cultures, mostly want to remain Spanish. The way forward is not in absolute claims, but in talking, working together, and respecting each other. Shared challenges, migration, safety, economic growth, require working together in practical ways. Building trust may not solve the disagreement, but it can ease tensions and make lives better. The future of Ceuta and Melilla depends on understanding each other's viewpoints and focusing on common ground. In the end, these cities could become bridges, not walls, between Europe and Africa.